Hi everybody. Well, I think a lot of you are probably watching the news about Hurricane Dorian, and you're somewhat confused about a lot of the technical terms used in the reports. So what I'm here to do today is to explain to you in layman's terms what all this technical meteorology jargon really means. So let's start off with the cone of concern. The cone of concern, if you're inside the cone of concern, you should be, well, very concerned. In fact, you should be pretty close to panic. Board up your homes, stock up on your goods, make your preparations. Maybe you might want to think about leaving the area. However, if you're just outside of the cone of concern, that puts you in the sphere of indifference. If you're there, you basically don't give a crap. Don't worry. I mean, the most you should do as far as preparations is maybe getting an extra bag of potato chips for the possible hurricane. But just make sure that that cone of concern doesn't come over you. If it does, then you start panicking. The next term I want to talk about is the donut of destruction. Now, when you look at the weather maps, you see these little round thingies that are right in the middle of the cone of indifference. And what that represents is the central part of the hurricane. That's where the hurricane is the strongest. And those are the little round thingies. Well, that's what they used to be called. But they decided to go with the more scientific terminology for that. And now those little round thingies that you see in the middle of the cone, they're known as the donut of destruction. And that reason for this is with the satellite imagery that in the last few years, we see that a hurricane actually, with the hole in the middle, the eye, and white clouds surrounding it, it looks like a giant glazed donut. So that's what we call it now, although some of the older text of meteorology still calls it little round thingies, but the more updated term is donut of destruction. However, there are some debates among scientists whether that donut of destruction is resembles more a glazed vanilla donut, or whether it's more like a glazed coconut donut. But basically, they all agree that we should now call it the donut of destruction. Now, as to the using barometric pressure to measure the eye of the hurricane as a way of determining how strong it is, that's pretty much gone out of the window the last few years, because we have a much more accurate level of measuring how destructive a hurricane can be, and that's the Cantori index. And that's aimed from Jim Cantori of the Weather Channel. For example, if Jim Cantori is doing a report 150 miles away from you, that's a Cantori level 1 hurricane. If he's 100 miles away from you, that's a level 2 Cantori. 75 miles away from you is a level 3. 25 miles away from you is a level 2. Now, if you wake up in the morning and you go into your living room and you see Jim Cantori sitting on your living room couch, you're ground zero of that hurricane. You're at a level 1 Cantori. You should really be panicked. In fact, what the hell are you doing there? You should have evacuated a long time ago if you see Jim Cantori in your living room. Now, also, as far as the emergency alerts that the emergency alert system has, the original one that they had, they found that was a little bit frightening to people, the sound of it going on the radios especially. So what they've done is they've replaced the original emergency alert with a much more soothing sound. It's so calm people down. It's the SHEP alert. So let's just, I'll give you a sample of, there's several SHEP alerts. Here's just one of them.
This storm will kill you. It will kill your children, it will kill your pets, and everyone you know who wants to mess with it.
Okay, now finally, we come to emergency supplies and the level and the circle of trust. I'm sure many of you, when you prepare for a hurricane, you have a family circle of trust, of the people that you trust to share your emergency supplies with. So you want to make sure that you're in that circle of trust. And if for some reason you're not in the circle of trust, you're placed outside the circle of trust, which means that even in the middle of a hurricane, you're thrown outside the door. Everybody inside the circle of trust remains safe inside the home, and that's you outside. That's you. You're stuck outside. So I hope these I helped you to get through what all this technical terminology is for hurricanes is all about, and I hope you find this video useful. See you later.
Subscribe to the Dummy Funnies now!